So welcome everyone to the third and final of our 3 conversations with notable scientists here at Berkeley Lab. My name is Jeff Miller, I'm Head of Public Affairs. My guest today is Shashi Buluswar, who is the Director of Berkeley Lab's Institute for Globally Transformative Technologies, otherwise known as LIGTT, the acronym LIGTT. LIGTT, as you will learn, has a very ambitious agenda for the developing world. So please welcome Shashi. So before describing what LIGTT actually is and its many objectives, could you just sketch out for us the scope of the problem in the developing world that we are confronting at this stage?
Sure. Great to be here, by the way. So let me do it by way of example. Every year, 1.5 million children die because they drink water that is dirty, that is infested with, frankly, contaminants from fecal matter. Every year, 360,000 women die at childbirth. And guess how much food gets wasted every year? So the food that's produced for human consumption. Take a guess.
A percentage?
Yeah.
20%.
33%, a full 1/3, which is 1.3 billion tons of food gets wasted a year. And this happens while people are starving to death.
And as we were reminded by recent events, energy is also an issue, is it not?
Exactly.
Delivery of energy.
Exactly. It's the lack of energy, it's the lack of infrastructure, the lack of facilities, the lack of institutions to provide those services, and it's the lack of capable governments to actually provide these things.
So let's get specific about LIGTT. What exactly is LIGTT, and how can it help solve some of these problems?
So LIGTT it's a new institute created 5 months back, and the idea is as simple as it is challenging. We at the lab do $800 million of research a year. Now, much of it is not relevant to developing country needs, but there's a substantial portion that we believe is. Now, our initial guess is something like 20-25% of it is.
25% of existing research here
Exactly.
that is directly
or the
applicable.
Topics. Exactly. The
Topics, okay.
So our job is to take that and tweak the last mile of that research to see if we can come out with breakthrough scientific breakthroughs and technologies that can solve some of these problems. I'll give you an example of a technology and a problem. Take the question of food waste. So if you're a poor farmer living, say, 100 miles from a city, 200 miles from a city, you have to get your fruits and vegetables and your dairy and your meat to the city where the market is. And in the absence of, if you're a poor African farmer, you don't have a car, right? You have to figure out a way to get it there. Often there are intermediaries who pick up the stuff and take it, but that process takes days. And in the meantime, what happens? The stuff rots, right? So one early technology we're building is a very low-cost, solar-powered, lightweight refrigerator that can be mounted in a motorcycle or in a bicycle. Right? That can help the farmer keep the food alive for a few days.
When you looked at the lab to analyze what type of research that was already going on here might be applicable, what were the criteria you were using to make that judgment, let's say 25%? What were you looking for?
So first of all, if you step back and think of what the problems are, everything from energy access to things like refrigeration, to things like the capabilities to make devices for medical uses, for instance. Now, it is less going through the entire inventory and saying yes, no, yes, no. It's really looking at more the capabilities of the various divisions and departments and getting a sense for whether or not they worked on things that are relevant.
Was this something distinctive about Berkeley Lab that you might not find elsewhere?
Absolutely. Now, I shamelessly say that this is probably the world's single largest repository of research, advanced research that's relevant to developing country needs.
What do organizations get wrong when they go into some developing countries with technologies?
This may be my personal bias because of where I grew up, but this is not about charity. I mean, the moment you have a charity hat on, you're missing the whole point. These are phenomenally complicated problems to be solved. And I think far too many organizations have used the charity model.
Right.
Oh, we'll save those poor people. It's not about that. These are phenomenally important problems of huge global significance that have to be solved. And what that means is we have to bring the best minds to the problem, which comes back to why I believe this is a great place to be thinking about them.
So I know you were born in India. Do you feel a special sense of responsibility in this work?
Well, we're all global citizens, right? And it's not, I don't think I feel a sense of responsibility that's different from a lot of people. But it seems like we don't have the, I'll use some strong language here. When a third of our food is being wasted and millions of people are starving to death, we can't just simply accept that. We can't call ourselves a civilized society and watch these things happen on TV. So we all have a responsibility, and many of us do our part in that.
I'd like you to thank Shashi for joining us today and for attending this final of our summer series conversations. Thank you.
Yeah.